This is the Heroic Voice, where I talk to comic book creators, people I've worked with, other interesting people, about the history of comics, superheroes, and the current state of the comic book industry. I also discuss current and upcoming projects, current events, and any other topics my guests might be interested in talking about. So subscribe and hit the like button. Help me grow this channel and promote indie comic book creators, publishers, and other people affiliated with the comic book industry. Your comments are appreciated. Get to it and leave feedback, good, bad, and otherwise. I am your host, Dennis Maloney, writer, publisher of the Heroic Multiverse, where we spotlight good girls, bad girls, super babes, and superheroics in a classic, kind of golden agey style. Grab some snacks and enjoy. This is the Heroic Voice. Hi, welcome to the Heroic Voice. This is November 16th, I believe. I am here with Carey Fox, the founder, writer of Stealth Pictures, entrepreneur, comic book aficionado. Carey, it's a pleasure to see you. It's been a while.
Yes, yes, you too. It's been a beat or two, but no, good to see you and glad and happy to talk.
All righty. Tell people who may not be familiar with Stealth Pictures, well, tell them who you are and then what Stealth Pictures is all about.
Sure. So as Dennis said, I'm the founder of Stealth Pictures. I'm a exec producer and I'm also a writer. And I essentially, my philosophy is one that I really package assets together to hopefully create something that will at some point, be out there to an audience. I've been a writer for a really long time. I came up through the marketing world and then slowly shifted into the entertainment sector. As Dennis knows, I had some experience in the comic book world as well. I was a co-founder of an independent comic book company that's still around, and I remain a fan.
What is the name of that company that you helped start that's still
That
around?
was that was Scout Entertainment, which is rather an independent comic book and entertainment company, and they're still out there, putting titles out and whatnot.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Um, current projects. Well, before
Current projects, I mean, the ones
yeah,
that I'm sorry.
let's go ahead. Let's do current projects.
Yeah. I mean, the big one I'm working on the really big one I'm working on right now is a David Bowie project that's going to be a kind of a concert theater hybrid. It'll be experiential, but along with that, we're doing a documentary, an exhibit series. I'm talking to a major university about doing a curriculum that kind of comes out of the show that we're putting together. So I'm pretty excited about that. It's been it's a really great project, and it's a great world to be working with. So that's been really great, and getting a lot of traction on that. And I'm also developing a Broadway musical comedy with a bunch of established people from Broadway. And I also have a more serious documentary about Robert Frank that I'm developing with a friend of mine who was close with Robert's family, and their two families were very close. So that's the lens that I'm doing that through. So I'm pretty excited about that. So it's a kind of, admittedly, it's an eclectic kind of mix.
Yeah. For those who are not familiar with the name that you just cited, tell us who.
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. Robert Frank was a pretty successful, well-known photographer who came to this country in the late 50s. He did a series of photos and did a book called The Americans. He pioneered what was looked upon as the documentary approach to photography. he went on to do a lot of other great stuff that is, actually it's now being shown at the Museum of Modern Art here in New York. And then he kind of shifted into independent filmmaking. So a really, really interesting character and a very interesting family to boot.
You said something a little bit earlier relating the first project that you mentioned to curricula. How would the David Bowie project translate into, some sort of educational curriculum?
Yeah, well, first of all, because of the project, I have access to a lot of people from that Bowie universe.
Hmm.
And so the thought is to bring them into a little bit of the academic universe. And what it really very broadly is, it's going to be a series of what I'm calling innovation workshops. So kind of in thematically from a Renaissance musician like Bowie and others, kind of take that spirit and basically turn it into a curriculum. And I'm working with two different of the schools at this one university I'm talking to.
So music curriculum,
And technology, but yes.
technology. Oh, okay. Yeah, Bowie was something of a pioneer in some ways.
Yeah, I think, yeah, no, absolutely, in a lot of ways. So it's a fascinating, group to be working with. And yeah, so I've got, those are my three big projects right now. And, so I came up with them, I've developed them. And at this stage, I'm really packaging them with both investors as well as sponsors, and which is kind of the way you have to get things done now.
All right, let's take a step back.
Sure.
Projects that you've worked on in the past that people might be able to see or to access in some way, something that you've done.
I have to be honest with you, they were mostly independent, kind of direct to video projects more than anything. I worked with Warren Buffett on a project. I worked with Simon Schuster. I worked with Golden Books. I even worked with Cindy Crawford on a project.
Oh,
But those were kind of they were, I guess you could call them direct marketed projects. They never really got to mass distribution, but they kind of, I did, it was a bunch of animation ideas. Also, there were curriculum assets as part of those programs as well. So, it helped kind of move the ball to where I am today.
is there some place people might be able to find those? You mentioned a few names.
Uh, well, in the near future, I'm actually upgrading my site that I'll be able to have those kind of assets to be viewable. But beyond that, they're just really, it's hard to find it. Admittedly, they were, they had
Limited
their,
distribution, specialty projects,
yeah,
things
they were very,
typically.
they were more, they were kind of work for hire, I guess, either by the corporation or the artist. And so after that was done, they controlled the assets and they
Uh-huh.
basically did what they wanted with them. So
And never released them, I suppose, into the
they
general
never,
public.
one of them they released, it was a fitness, it was a bizarre little project, but it was a children's fitness video film that we did, and we did it with Cindy Crawford and her, at the time, her trainer, and Kobe Bryant was a voiceover. And basically it was really a musical adventure, animated musical adventure, to show young children both the joys of working out, but also a series of actual exercises that they could do that were approved by experts in the field. And it was even approved by, at the time, the President's Council on Fitness.
I'm going to
I mean,
push you a
it
little
was,
bit on this. Do you remember what the name of that was? It's conceivable that people might be able to find
they
it.
could, they, happy to let them look for it. It was, it was called Cindy and the Fitwits,
Ha!
Fitwits.
I love it.
Oh, well, you know what it was? Excuse me. It was Mini Muscles, Cindy and the Fitwits.
Ah, okay. Well,
It was a very cool project, and it came out really well. But I think in a lot of ways it was more of a vanity project that she did with the publisher of her fitness books and fitness videos, etc. Because at one time she had the best-selling fitness video for women, like
Yes,
of all time.
that
Like
was
she must have done.
quite a while ago.
Yeah, it was. It was a little. Yeah, it was a moment ago.
Yeah. All right. You are something of a comic book aficionado, and for the most part, on this channel, because we're heroic publishing, right? We do comic books. We talk about
Sure.
this. Um, you've approached us on a few occasions with the idea of maybe licensing some of our characters. Let
Yes.
me ask you the same kind of thing that I ask of people who are interested in comics. What got you interested in comic books? How did you find them? Uh,
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, listen, I grew up with them. I mean, that's kind of the strongest bond that you can have. I mean, when I was pretty young, one of the things my both sets of grandparents would always bring to me when they came to visit was a small stack of comic books.
mm,
And that's really seeding the clouds. And to kind of add to that, I was really into um, drawing and cartooning. And so one of the things I did from the time I was probably 7 or 8 until many years later, I used to draw the characters on my own, freehand. And I would, develop my own ideas and whatnot. But, it really, that kind of attention to the details that go into a comic book and in the artwork, I mean, it really does draw you close to the whole concept of a comic book as well as the storylines. And it's just one thing that it never left. I mean, I always find the format and the storytelling of comic books really intriguing. Especially now because I think they've taken a lot of different forms, but yet the ones that are more classic, they always seem to endure somehow.
the classic concepts, the classic characters.
Sure, sure. Yeah, the basic superhero concept. I mean, it really doesn't go away. I mean, it goes through permutations, but that basic aspirational ideal and value, I think it always maintains.
Do you have a favorite character or
I have to say, I mean, I still really am drawn to the ones that I grew up with. So, Batman, Superman, Spider-Man. I mean, one of the worst moments of my mid single digit life was when I discovered that my mother threw away my Spider-Man #1,
Oh
which
my.
I know. It's like, but that's what parents do, you know. So
Oh,
I was kind of crestfallen.
my goodness. I remember buying that Spider-Man #1 off of the newsstand at the supermarket.
Yeah, yeah. They used to have the racks that went around.
Well, this was not. This was actually on, well, it's not important, but it was on the magazine
Oh,
stand.
really? Okay,
Right,
okay.
down at the bottom of the magazine stand next to the liquor place.
Oh, really?
They had comic books there, right? So I would go over there to the liquor area, every week. Wednesday was when they came out, and
Yeah.
look down at the bottom, to see what new comic books were there. And I saw Spider-Man. Why would they name a superhero after Spider? Right?
Right. Right.
And I picked it up. Fantastic Four were in it, so
Oh, yeah. Good combination.
yeah, so that was cool. Um, You have, as I said, approached us on a few occasions.
Right.
Do you have a favorite heroic publishing character?
Um, I was always drawn to the champions group. I always love the idea
That's
of a
them.
team. Yes, right. I always love the idea of a team. I think it's because of the dynamic of it all, and it kind of like it lets the action kind of fly off the page a bit. So I was always drawn to that. Was the one I always felt strongest about. I always felt I still do. I always thought it had like the most potential,
Mhm.
because it kind of represented like so many values in one at one time, in like a fell swoop, and with all that diversity of characters, just kind of opened up that world so nicely.
Well, what would you have done with them had we been able to get anything going? Did you have thoughts along those lines?
I always have thoughts, Dennis. Execution sometimes becomes another story, but yes, absolutely. I mean, I would have taken my idea was and I think we had discussed it at one point, as on some scale, I would have looked to, and it didn't have to be all at once, but kind of take a little bit of that Avengers kind of dynamic as a way to introduce the characters to a broader audience. You know, kind of create the world in a bigger way. And then I think as you do that, you can then, certainly the way that you all have done it, is you kind of introduce the other bloodlines.
Yeah. And by bloodlines, you mean,
Relationships and crossovers and everything else. You know, things that made your universe come to life.
okay, so basically universe building in a visual
Well, absolutely.
medium.
Yeah, I'm more than anything. I mean, even though I'm a writer, I'm usually first drawn to the visuals, you know, and certainly your certainly your collection is hyper visual, so you know, really does pull you in. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, I think part of the challenge in the comic book world and taking it beyond the page into, you know, other formats and other media is that it has been so dominated by DC and Marvel universes, and those two create such a you know, certainly with people that would invest in them, such a expectation level, right? So which made it hard. And I think, you know, I actually think the moment is coming closer now where the sense of smaller character lines and, you know, more distinctive ones, I think the moment is quickly coming for that. Because I think what's happened, and you've probably seen it too, there's definitely been Marvel burnout.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's been a few exceptions which they did through TV, like Agatha, and you know, a couple of the others. But the idea, the bigness, the monstrosity that is Marvel, I think people are kind of, you know, we've seen it now, and it's overkill, frankly.
Well, yeah, I've had that discussion before with some people. Um, there's how do I put this charitably, right? They're so looking for the next big thing that they've forgotten how to, set the stage for that
Right, right,
big
right.
thing.
Totally correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's a function of the economies of scale that they created. You know what I mean? They created, you know, they were the Marvel universe, Marvel films. So it became you know, they kind of created their own genre. And once you do that, I think it's very hard to go and either downsize or do something differently. You know,
you
again,
need
you
you need
create
to have
expectations.
you need to have a story that you're telling.
Yeah, yeah,
The Ant-Man movie, the first Ant-Man movie, had a story that it was
right,
telling, and the character and the supporting characters were engaging. I was telling people before that movie came out, because I had a sense of what they were going to do, that they should see it. And people were going, Ant-Man, what the heck is that? Right.
yeah,
But I had a sense that that one would work. So I was telling people that. Used a different approach with the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, right? And there, it was a group of people with small stories, getting
right.
pulled into something larger. Um, but it's, the criticism, what's past is past.
Right.
And I hope that they have learned some lessons from this that DC seems never to have learned. Um,
No, no, DC is very hard to understand the direction that they took.
yeah,
Um, yeah, they kind of, for whatever reason, they got. I feel that they kind of went very more dark than anything else.
yeah, they did.
Given that, if you look back in the '80s when they introduced Superman, which was in that version was so remarkably positive, but still held on to that original look feel from the comic books and the old TV series. You know, they took definitely took a left turn.
Yeah. And as I said, I don't really mean to criticize. I mean, they have reasons for doing
Oh,
whatever they're doing,
without
whatever they're,
without a doubt.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, they have
Um,
shareholders.
from our perspective, had we been able to get anything going, I think we would have started most likely with Flair. Um, and shifted
Mhm.
over into Lady Arcane, who would have been introduced as a supporting character in the Flare movie.
Right. Yeah, no, listen, these are all really very valid strategies. And I understand the importance and popularity of Flair. That was absolutely be certainly a would not be a would not be a bad strategy to go on,
Yeah.
you know, as
So,
particularly, a female-based character.
do you have any kind of wish list, projects that you would like to do that you haven't been able to do? I mean, not talking about, our stuff, but,
Right,
other
right, right.
things that are of interest to you that you would like to fold into your long-term strategy before you kick the bucket. Kind of a
What?
bucket list for
We're
producing.
really accelerating things here.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I needed a rider on my insurance policy. Um, well, I got to tell you right now. I mean, right now, is I think it's by virtue of what I'm working on. I'm really drawn to the music universes. I just find them really fascinating. In a lot of ways, I have to say, they feel adjacent to the comic book worlds because that tends to be,
In a way, maybe.
well,
Yeah.
that bigger than life, almost heroic proportions, even if it's a darker musician. And I just find that world really, really interesting. And those are kind of the places I've been looking more of right now. And again, it's been a function of the people I've met over the past couple of years from these projects. Um, and plus, I'm for whatever reason, I'm just drawn more and more, though not exclusively, but more and more to the theatrical side of things, doing musicals, and it feels a little fresher to me.
Mhm.
And I've met enough people from that world, certainly in the New York City scene, that I can now kind of move around it a little bit easier. And I'm always here. And I just happen to be one of these people that I tend to hear about projects or properties relatively early on. I mean, I got a call just the other night. I can't tell you what the property was, but a major personality in the certainly in the New York centric scene, but who's known on a global basis. And it turns out a friend of mine had actually written a book about her that I mean, I don't think a lot of people even knew about it. And I had to go out and research it, and it's true. So we were talking about, well, how can we take this book about this amazing personality that everyone knows and smartly bring it out as an entertainment project. So that one's it's really attractive to me. It's really interesting. And it's got, there's a little danger attached to it because the person who this would be about is exceedingly litigious.
Oh,
But, if you're smart about it, though, I think you can kind of, the idea being that inspired by kind of
okay. So
kind of bury the myth a little bit.
not working with that person, but doing something about that person.
Yeah, yeah. But yet my friend knows this person firsthand and has the relationship. But I mean, just both of us knowing the personality, the
Okay.
odds of them letting us do exactly what we would want to do would be very,
Mm,
very low.
very, very
So
low. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, so we'd have to be a bit more creative with the execution, but certainly within the realm of possibility.
Well, I hope you get that going. If you're
Yeah,
at the
thanks.
point where people are coming to you, that's a good sign.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, yeah, definitely happy about it, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot. Look, this. There's a lot of IP out there, and ideally, when it comes across your desk, you kind of make the connection, the emotional connection to it, and then it usually inspires some thoughts as to, well, how can I bring this out to a broader audience?
Alrighty. Social media. If people are interested in seeing what you're up to,
Sure.
where should they go?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram more than anything, frankly, right now, although I am on TikTok now. I haven't posted anything yet. That's like one of my to-do lists is start to get more active there. But I'm definitely on Instagram, CFOX62, CFOX62. I just went, actually this weekend, I just went on Threads and I just signed up for Blue Sky, same handle. I'm going to try and migrate or read up on how to migrate the following I have on X to those two formats because I'm not a huge fan of X.
Okay. And that's C Fox 62 is
Right.
the handle that you're going to be using on all of
Yeah.
them.
At
Yeah.
CFOX62. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Absolutely.
All right. Website?
Uh I'll say it, but it's down right now and I'm updating it, but it would
Ah,
be
still working on it. Okay.
yeah, it's kind of but it's stealthpictures.com. Stealth
Yeah.
pictures.com. But I'm revisiting it as I
So it's
say.
down now, but it'll be up later. If somebody sees this maybe a month from now or
Yeah,
2 months
no,
from now.
exactly. Yeah, so it's definitely the new version is a work in progress that I want to get up there as soon as possible.
Alrighty. Do you have any thoughts if people are interested in getting into the kind of work that you do? What's the best way to approach that?
Yeah, I think this is the era, it's still the era of intellectual properties. So if you want to try to get more involved in this, I think a smart way is to find a great property that you feel really passionate about. It can be a personality, it can be an event, it could be a song, it could be a line of a song, and ask permission. A lot of the things I've gotten is just by asking. You don't necessarily have to spend 100 grand, 200 grand to get the rights to do something. People love the idea of being approached by someone who wants to kind of glorify what they've done and tell their story. So that's what I would encourage. Find, for the practice and the craft, sure, write your own screenplay, but the difficulty level of getting a screenplay done in this environment is exponential. It's very difficult.
Uh-huh. So to sum that up, basically find a property that you love, right? Figure out what you might want to do with it, then pitch the idea to the person who owns the property.
Right.
Okay. And
That's exactly it. And like I think it's to a certain extent you got to be kind of fearless, at least the first couple of times, but just ask. What's the worst that can happen? You're gonna know.
yeah,
But as long as but I gotta say, as long as you're passionate about the project and the property, that goes such a long way.
all right. Let's I think that is there a topic you would like to cover that hasn't occurred to me? You care?
No, I think we've touched on a lot. I think we did a pretty broad stroke here.
Pretty quickly too. That was covering a lot of territory in a very short
Yeah.
order.
Well, I do talk fast.
Oh my goodness. Alrighty. Let me encourage people, once that website is up, go there to stealthpictures.com and
Oh,
follow
thank you.
follow
Yeah, that'd be
Carey
great.
on social media, see what he's up to. I don't know how often he posts up there, but if you want to see, the projects that we talked about, how those are coming, I'm sure there'll be something up there as news.
Yes, I'm at the point where I can actually start posting things because up till now, it's been playing it closer to the vest, but we're getting to the point now where everything's moving along at a much quicker pace. So I'll start posting little bits and pieces.
Wonderful. Glad to hear that. Looks like things are moving. So let me encourage people, if you like this interview, share it, right? Subscribe to the Heroic Voice channel on YouTube. Like it. We need all the followers that we can get. And, if you can spread the word about what Stealth Pictures is up to, I'm sure Carey would very much appreciate that.
That would be wonderful.
Alrighty. Alrighty. Good to see you. We'll talk
Yes, you too,
again.
Dennis.
Alrighty. And gonna sign off.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dennis. Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.